Hello there, Physically Debunked here, and it's been a while. There was Christmas, my PhD project, I've moved into a new flat, and the UK has a whole new lockdown. With all that business going on, I've been unable to get a haircut, let alone make a new video. But here I am now, and I hope to produce lots of new content over the coming weeks. First of all, a big thank you to everyone who's been supporting my channel so far. There's been lots of engagement with my videos, and that's what keeps me making them. Today then, in this video, what I want to look at is a particular feature of the world that seems to me to render the generic God of monotheism totally implausible. Before we begin, I should make it clear what concept of God I'll specifically be attacking. To me, the most problematic, implausible, yet serious proposal for what God is like is the monotheistic God of the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. While each of these religions believes something a little bit different about the divine, they all have the same starting point. They begin with an entity who is omnipotent, omniscient, all-loving, designed the universe and humans within it for a specific purpose, and has at least partially revealed this purpose to certain groups of humans. It's a God like this that I'll argue poorly explains what we see in the world around us. In addition, it's worth emphasising that I don't intend this argument to be seen as a proof of the non-existence of God. Rather, what I'll present is a fact about the world which I feel that religion has extremely unsatisfactory explanations for, when compared to explanations from a godless, naturalistic perspective. Without further ado, let's jump in. What I'll be talking about today is the fact that there have been many, many religions in the history of the world. That there have been thousands of religions makes it deeply implausible to me that the Abrahamic God exists. So how many religions have there been? This question is nearly impossible to answer since there is no definitive way of classifying distinct religions, and there have been nearly as many folk religions as there have been communities in the history of the world. Estimates tend to place the number of religions in the world today somewhere in the thousands. However many religions there are today though, all I need to make my point is the existence of at least two mutually exclusive religions. Any extra religions only serve to amplify the argument. It's clear that this is the case. If you take the three major Abrahamic religions and ignore the fact that they're actually split further into thousands of smaller sects and cults, then it's undeniable that they contain mutually exclusive beliefs. One obvious example is what each of these religions has to say about Jesus Christ. Christians must believe that Jesus was the Son of God, yet Islam and Judaism expressly deny this. And this is just comparing religions with similar roots. If you want to look further afield and consider all the various polytheistic religions that have existed through the ages, it's obvious that there are many religions, all with totally incompatible beliefs and pantheons. The core beliefs of all the religions that have existed through history simply can't all be true. The reason I think that this simple observation makes the existence of the monotheistic God so implausible is because the explanations offered by theology for this are just so poor. It should be clear to anyone that if you begin with the assumption that the God of monotheism exists, the ridiculous plurality of religions that we find is not what we should expect at all. If there really did exist a single God who created the universe, wanted his creation to follow him, and had some objective truth to share with them to allow them to do that, then the world that we see around us is totally not what we should expect to see. I will provide some justification for this claim, but it really should be obvious to anyone. Even theists should be seriously surprised by the unbelievable amount of religious diversity in the world, given what they believe about God. If we assume, as virtually all monotheists do, that God is omnipotent, all-loving, and wants his creation to follow him, this entails that God has both the power and the motivation to appropriately inform everyone who's ever lived how they can follow him. If we take the example of Abrahamic religions, then we also know that failing to follow God yields truly dire consequences that God really wants you to avoid, such as being eternally damned in a burning hell. An all-loving, omnipotent God would surely make the effort to appropriately inform everyone how to avoid eternal damnation, and we should expect to see in the world similar religious beliefs and practices throughout the ages and throughout civilizations. Wouldn't that be a fantastic indicator that the monotheistic God really did exist, if isolated cultures across millennia all arrived at the same religious beliefs? Surely that is what we'd expect to see if an omnipotent, all-loving God really did exist. If, for example, the Ten Commandments really were objective, important moral truths, then surely an all-loving God would have communicated these with all the disconnected civilizations of the world. If you agree with this line of thought, then it should be obvious that the world drastically doesn't resemble what you'd expect to see if the monotheistic God exists. The existence of God then is a bad hypothesis for explaining the plurality of religions. There are plenty of theists who will raise objections to what I've just said, but they have to, otherwise their religion is clearly implausible. I'll give some attention to the most common objections, but as I'll explain, they hardly make a start at fixing this gaping hole in theology. One objection is that humans have free will. God can't make everyone follow the correct religion, people have to choose it themselves. Now, free will is often used to solve various theological problems in monotheistic religions, but it doesn't help at all here. Does anyone honestly believe that if God properly informed everyone of the correct religious practices, that this would eliminate free will? Plenty of people are extremely religious, yet don't adhere to all their religion's teachings. Just look at money-grabbing megachurches in the United States, or the sex scandals in the Catholic Church. Clearly, even if God told everyone what the correct religion is, people would still be free to not follow it. When a school teacher tells their class that they have to do their homework to achieve good grades, has any teacher ever thought that the best way to get as many students doing their homework as possible was to give them thousands of different worksheets and let them work out which one is actually their homework? In fact, the Abrahamic God is worse than this metaphorical teacher. He's made most students have to figure out what the homework is, but told the answers to a small group of special students he selected. How unfair is that? Another objection theists raise is that the existence of many religions is actually evidence for God. The fact that every culture that's ever existed has had some sort of religion points to the fact that there is some God-shaped hole in our souls and that we actively seek divinity. Why would we seek divinity if it wasn't there? As an atheist, I find it quite obvious that this objection is wrong. I don't feel any compulsion to search for the divine. Some theists may claim that I've replaced this compulsion by idolising money, science, the devil, or myself, but to me, that's clearly not true. There's no way I could convince these theists of this, since they can't inhabit my brain, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Presumably, this is also how many other atheists around the world feel. We don't have a God-shaped hole within us. But even if everyone did actively search for the divine, that still doesn't mean it's actually there, and it doesn't explain why there are so many varied and mutually exclusive religions. If there really was only one true religion, the fact that lots of people search for the divine doesn't go any way to explaining why God would allow so many people to go so wrong. One final objection which I include for your amusement: some theists may say that the existence of so many religions is the devil's work. It's the devil trying to trick people away from the one true God. The amusing corollary of this objection is that it would mean that the devil is actually more efficient at tricking people than God is at getting people to follow him. No religion in the world can count the majority of people who've ever lived among their followers. This would mean that whichever religion you picked, the devil has done a better job than God. All in all, this completely undermines the plausibility of an omnipotent, all-loving God who wanted everyone to follow him, but only revealed one true path to doing that. If you really believe that your religion is the one true religion, then the existence of so many religions is a humongous problem. One way out of this for monotheists is to water down the truth of their religion and accept a form of pluralism. They can claim that all religions contain elements of truth, but none contains the full truth. In this way, an omnipotent, all-loving God is compatible with the existence of so many religions, since any of these religions is a valid path to him. I think this is a serious step in the right direction. It completely erodes any religious claim to exclusivity and paves the way to a less divisive, more critical society. The problem for the theist, however, is where does it end? Which parts of the Bible are true? Which parts of it aren't true? There doesn't seem to be any way of recognising which parts of different religions should be taken seriously. Not being a pluralist renders belief in a monotheistic God absurd, but being a pluralist waters down religion so much that it's impossible to know what's true. In both cases, the existence of many religions completely undermines any particular religion. In contrast to all the muddled theological attempts to provide an explanation for the plurality of religions, there's an exceptionally simple answer that an atheist can give. The emergence of so many religions is a product both of psychological and cultural evolution. There are plenty of reasons to believe that the development of religion is beneficial to the formation of small cohesive communities. Virtually every society around the world justified central political power through divine authority. Societies that unified themselves through religion were fitter and survived. Coupled with psychological reasons for religious practices, it's no wonder that virtually every society we've come across had a religion of some sort. This provides a natural explanation for why there are so many mutually exclusive religions. There are so many because disconnected societies across the world all developed independently their own rituals, belief systems, and then eventually religions. To conclude then, this is one of the clearest instances for me of something where religion completely fails to explain a feature of the world, whereas taking a godless, scientific worldview resolves the issue so neatly. Of course, there are plenty of details to be worked out, but atheists have a simple explanatory framework, whereas religious theology yields nothing but confusion. The existence of a plurality of religions then completely undermines the plausibility of the monotheistic God. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe for more physics, philosophy, atheism, and stuff.